This is The Art of Startup War, and I am your sensei, Brian McMahon. Now, in Season 1 and 2, I got inside the minds of startup investors. In Season 3, I brought in entrepreneurs to share their startup journey. Here, in Season 4, we combine both, so you can hear investors critique the investment value proposition of individual companies. You're going to hear how investors make decisions to invest in startups, what makes a great entrepreneur, and how billion-dollar companies are built. So tune in every Tuesday, 10 a.m. on all the major platforms. You can empower your tribe by sharing the podcast, and remember to subscribe, rate, review, and leave us a comment. Good morning, it's Brian. It's Tuesday morning. I'm back. I'm here with a phenomenal entrepreneur. I'm not going to say another because there is no other Sumi. She is the only one. And we took the decision, was it a year ago or more?
We talked
when did we invest
January.
in you? January last year. So it was exactly 1 year ago.
Yes.
So I can tell you, this is the only truly blind decision on investment that we have ever made in Dojo, right? We had a general idea of what Sumi was building. It is so grandiose. Like what she's building is, if we're talking about flying cars, she's building a digital flying car. So we knew that what she was building was going to be so massive that we could only base it on one thing, and that is on her. And she is one of the greatest geniuses I have ever met. She has tremendous skill. And I just mean, I sit beside her and I feel a little bit smarter just because I'm around her. Now, that's what you need in somebody great about to build something. And I remember when I first saw her, I would think of folks like Bill Gates and other people who were just able to look at problems and solutions very differently. So you're going to find this podcast very interesting, not because we're going to decide if we're going to invest or not, because we already invested. We invested after only knowing her for a very short period of time, and actually before prototypes or anything were in place. What you're going to learn today is how to think monstrously big about what can be changed in the world. How's that, Sumi? Is that good?
It's great. Thank you, Brian.
And she's also very humble, by the way, so she won't agree with half the things I say when I say nice things, which is why I say lots of nice things about Sumi. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you very much for being here. Happy New Year's to you and everybody that is listening to the podcast.
Thank you. That's right. It's a new beautiful year. And I'll tell you, what I've seen with this new year is literally every single person I'm speaking to is coming out of the gates like a bull. It's almost as if there's only 2 years left on Earth and everybody is making sure that their business is maximized, that their investment is maximized, everything. I've never seen anything like it. Maybe it's the new decade, maybe it's a feeling, maybe there's something in the air, but I like it. I like it because it means that we're all moving forward towards our goal, which is great. And now I want to talk about Codemarket, and I want to talk about what you've built and the initial idea of what you were trying to create. Now, because you're so brilliant, I'm going to paraphrase a lot of what you say as we're talking. But talk to us about the problem that's being faced in technology, in website development principally, and then talk about how you came across such an incredible solution. Because I'm going to say before you start, this is akin to the horse and cart moving to the car. You suddenly realize there's no point in getting a faster horse. What we need is something entirely different, and we're going to have to build a whole infrastructure to make it work. So tell us a little bit about it.
So a little bit about me. I am a software engineer. So for 20 years, I have been in that industry, working at big companies and also small companies, mainly in the California area, both in Northern California and Southern California. So working in these two bigger and smaller, and also for small businesses or new ideas, what I have seen is that there is so much need for technology experts, right? So people have lots of ideas, innovative ideas, even if you're not technical. Everybody has ideas, but then you don't have the people that can implement it. And so you're dependent, and that became the bottleneck. And so
and more, right? Every year it gets more challenging.
right. So, and I saw that managing technical innovation is such a it's not perfected at. It's still like you're taking chances. You hire people, and you don't know, and you wait, and then most of the times it's complaints. So it just didn't go as we planned. It's basically like we don't know how to tame that, or we don't know what to expect at the end, right? So really, that's where that journey started for me. There is a very big problem to really make it simple for people to use the innovation that comes out of the software engineering, right, to business problems, because it's so complicated.
Agreed. And then how did you decide? Because that in itself is a very abstract problem, right? It's that technology is getting way too fast, way too complicated. Small businesses especially are not equipped to understand all of the technological advances that are coming through. But then within the website area, what was it that made you realize that the website development process itself was flawed?
Right. So I had my own businesses. So for any business owner, at the end, right, all it matters is they want to increase the sales, because they have to pay the bills and they have to increase the
100%.
sales. Technology doesn't matter, nothing matters, right? So, and at the same time, when you're a small business owner, you're constantly knee deep into fighting the fires, because you have customers coming and you have to do day-to-day operations, right? So you don't have time to really think bigger, deeper, strategic, and so that's the biggest problem. So when you think about them, it's about sales. And so when I go to this SMBs, they talk about sales. They don't care it's Facebook. Yes, they're spending money on Facebook. They're spending money on Google's, because they hear about these, that they would deliver results, and they think we need an Instagram page and we have a website. So they're trying to just hearing and taking chances, and the money is going into them, but they don't really see what they desire, which is their sales.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's where I came up. You really need to have a website that should deliver on scalable sales for small businesses.
I love that. And if I think of the evolution of websites, and I wish I wasn't, but I was around when the first few websites came out. And those first initial websites were so incredibly expensive and so incredibly complicated, nobody could afford them, right? And then they worked out a way to make them less expensive. And then I suppose the next evolution was crowdsourced our pre-coded websites, where we had the Squarespaces and the Wixes and the Shopifys, and most notably the WordPress, which was in the crowdsourced. And then with the first three that I mentioned there, they just pre-coded it. They made it easy for us. We go in, we can build something, and then relatively not smart tech people can build pretty dumb websites. No disrespect, but there's nothing crazy going on with these websites. They showcase our product and they allow people to buy it by having some e-commerce software in there. Maybe there's some SEO, some search engine optimization, but not much. And then WordPress for me was always the fascinating innovation, because it was the first truly, maybe not the first, but it was a truly democratized website where all coders came in from everywhere and said, I want to improve it. It was open source, which meant that the world was allowed to make it as brilliant as it can be. And that meant there are something like there are millions of plugins. I don't even want to say 2 million plugins. There are millions of plugins. There are so many, we can't even count them. And these plugins are all individual widgets. They're individual improvements that folks around the world, whether they're in England or Ireland or India or France or China or Israel, they said, I think this should be part of WordPress. And if the greater community agreed with it, i.e. if they used it, then it became a principal feature within WordPress. And then lo and behold, years later, we have a fully crowdsourced, open-sourced website whereby folks can build their website. How am I doing so far?
Right. So what WordPress did it gave the ability for individual developers to be entrepreneurs, right? So you understand a small piece of the problem and then you want to build it so you can monetize it, right? So and so how we are also similar in that regard. So in terms of differences, the technologies have evolved, right? So
I see you as the
WordPress,
next evolution.
yes, evolved.
Because
It's the latest technologies that we.
Yeah, because I just see, just before you explain, I want to just see how close I am on this, because what we invested in was the fact that the current model, even though it's wonderful, even though it has millions of features, they are still static features for a dumb website. And again, with respect, it just means we have more things in the website that doesn't think. So it's a little bit like the difference between an Excel spreadsheet and machine learning. What we
Right.
all want today is machine learning. We all want a website that will become a community for us, that can actually decide in some ways what is the best for us as far as where it should reach out to provide us with the resources to help, to your point, our business become more successful. And this to me is what was so exciting about what you're building and that next flying car, which is the living, breathing, thinking website that can be built.
You said it, Brian. So WordPress is it's a static pages and it's kind of like outdated, right? So ours is a community now. It's all social. It's no more just about giving information. In this age, it's all about communities and engagement, because that's where the sales come from. So WordPress is not engagement centric or community centric. It's more of pages, pages centric, versus ours is community and engagement centric. So even our pages, we convert automatically engageable pages by being able to comment at each section of the page, which creates more engagement, because people, when you read a page at the bottom, you can comment, and that limits engagement because you have a thought on a specific point on that page. So our technology will convert any website on the internet, as commentable on each line or each paragraph. So very relevant for any business website, or even news ones, which creates even more engagement on those. So it's a community centric and engagement centric tools that we have given for websites that any business can use. And on top of it, as you said, it's not just about the information and community and engagement. It also has to tie to sales, right? At the end of the day, for businesses, how is it improving? It's not these many people have come and these many people have talked or these many people have said certain things, but how is it tying to the sales, right? So for that, it's about your data. You should have a data pipeline that is being analyzed. And even though you cannot, that's the second part about the SMBs, that they cannot still afford a team which would be able to analyze the data for you and come up with custom specific, tweakings for yourself, which is in-house, which is dedicated, right? So we provide that if on top of it, so you don't need to hire full-time employees. On top of it, if you want us to be your outsourced sales team, which includes all these skill sets, technology, software, AI, and data on top of this platform that can set up for scaling.
I
sales.
understand. So this is such a
So we
huge...
move from just being a website or just community and engagement to really we come from the sales. How can we help something that at the end it stops at making the buck, right? So it's the sales, because that's a conversation that the SMBs are more interested in.
I understand. So how do you build this? Because this is huge. I know you've already started building this, but talk to me a little bit about the progression of the build of the foundation that's required, and then talk to me about how do you get all of the coders to come in and actually start layering in code that's going to help this website become smarter and smarter.
So from a business standpoint, they can, right now we have the beta product already available. They could launch it and use it, and they could even point it to their own website if they want it to their own domain name, right? So that is in the beta right now, so anybody could use it. So in terms of if you're asking me in terms of the progression of actually as an entrepreneur, starting from the idea, how did we build it? So I always work with the really the end customer. I feel like I actually want to solve some specific problems. I always took a paid customer and I work with them. So even with an idea stage, I got the customer and I went and pitched them some businesses, and while I'm working with them, I started, I have a team of developers, so I started prioritizing, which one should go in terms of features and one. So and that's how we ended up making it. It should be the website first because everybody needs a website. It starts with a website. So it's a website and making that website intelligent. So we selected the features once we said website, real time. So that's where we are also different from the WordPress. We are all latest technologies. It's microservices. It's real time, which makes it much more for community-driven and AI-driven features to be leveraged.
Amazing. So if I today was looking to build a new website, can I use your beta to start building that website? And how would that compare with me building it on a WordPress website today? Because it's just the beta version at the moment, right? It still needs to be evolved.
Right. So if you request that you would like to have your website built, so you could get it, so initially it would be having a Codemarket / whatever your domain name that you would like to give, and you get that automatically. And you can, and will, if you want to point your domain name, and we give you instructions how to port it into your domain name.
Okay, and then
so
it just becomes
requesting.
your normal
It's just
name.
requesting.
But then I could build on Codemarket the same way that I would have built on WordPress.
Yes.
Perfect. And then where does it go? Actually, before I ask where it goes next, talk to me about some of the challenges of building this, because you're a very confident woman. You've built a great website. You've done most of this on your own. You go forward no matter what's hitting you. But talk to some of the challenges of building this over the last few years.
I would say not so much challenges, given that, I've been in this industry for so long, and probably I have learned, all the pitfalls that can come and stuff over many years. So I wouldn't say challenges, but I knew that, for any tech product, at the end, to scale, to build a tech company, you need a proper team. And you hear these in terms of stories about culture, not able to scale and all of these. So it's a team. So my challenge, because my developers are men, majority in the tech world are men. And so when you want to be a woman leader, where it's your idea and you have the vision. For example, it's defining the vision. Like when I'm saying I want to actually make whole of US, it's already prosperous. It's already doing good. But I feel more passionate because I came from a different country, and I really enjoy every moment here, every interaction here. People are so nice. And so I feel very grateful and thankful, and I want this country to do even more better. And so when I go and see the local businesses and I say, you should do well, you should do grow. And that's my personal mission and personal vision, right? So I make decisions around my vision. And if that means you want to be a leader, and and if I have to go and make other people convince, they don't have the same vision. So it becomes a very big challenge, right? So being a leader when you're a woman and everybody is men around you and they don't necessarily agree or feel the same amount of passion around your vision, that's the biggest challenge for me in terms of aligning my vision with my work. Okay?
Do you find that the vision also will move as you go forward? Because for most of us, it does, right? As we build what we say we're going to build, we get feedback from customers, and the feedback from customers then allows us to evolve.
So, Brian, I think vision is one, and product is different. Product is going to evolve all the time, and the features will evolve. The problems that you solve to achieve, that's an infinite vision, because if you live forever, you can continue to work on it forever, right? With technology, there is no limit. So, but in terms of building a company, then you have to bring people and align people around that vision, right? So you're bringing technical people. So the way I did, because I have seen over a period of time teams not work. Teams, that's the biggest challenge. Once you raise money, within bigger companies, you get the project going, you get the funding for that project. Even with the challenge is the teams do not. Um, so was like I had to focus on the team very much, not so much of scaling, not so much of funding, and that's approach I took. So first developer, I literally like we lived and became a family, right? So that's very important because if I need to bring second developer, third developer, the culture that I set with this developer, right? The process, how we work, how we make decisions. So I invested nearly 7 months on one developer to really make it very solid that this person can speak my language or this vision really understood. And I had to do that from very systematic way, phase by phase, which is I spent few months on really understanding how to work with me. Okay, I did not get oh, we need to do so much, let's get the second person. No, let's make sure we understand very well. So then once we got that, then I worked on setting a process that's very scalable, because when you're writing technology, we need to understand it's not just the code, because code, if somebody writes, actually it's useless. After that, you want to throw it away. What you need is how you thought through when you wrote that code, because when you bring the second person, third person, they understand very well. It's beyond documentation. It's actually your way of how you thought about solving it, so that tomorrow you can also improve it when new people come, right? So they're learning. The investment that went into writing that code did not go away when new people come, because they can learn automatically from that and build on top of it. So I said that focus on setting that process of the development, engineering, infrastructure for that. We follow a process every day. We set goals and we actually publish it on our platform. And it could be private or public too. Then at the end of the day, and we analyze that requirement every day. But you have to write it down. So as a developer, that's a problem. Writing, it's less about language, but actually putting your thoughts on paper. This is how I'm thinking. At the end of the day, we have to, this is what is the code that is written, and this is the status update. So we have that code base.
By the way, these are lessons for all entrepreneurs, and they're great lessons for entrepreneurs. If you don't have a great team around you, you're dead. It's just, you don't know it yet, but you're dead, right? If you don't have milestones, which are daily milestones, which I love that you've said, because most people have got business plans and they've got some targets and objectives in there. No, daily milestones are the only thing that will keep you alive. And then I also love that you've immediately gone for processes and procedures and structures, because if you don't have that, your company will collapse.
So that is between two. And the third thing I focused is product. When you're a technical developer, I believe, which me, I keep saying, developers are the ones who will change the world, and we should make everybody a developer, then they can solve their own problems. So they don't have that much, world or the outside problem knowledge. So to build product, if you're just building features, they are not useful at all. So unless this is the customer, this is a problem you're solving. So bringing that culture to the developer, even when you write code, you actually have to understand the user, what problems, and you have to be passionate about the problem that you are solving. You have to care for the customer. And so translating into your coding that, right? So the product, so I spend time on that. So now is where I feel very solid to bring more people. Now this person becomes actually prototype for bringing other developers. So now I don't need to work on. So that's what I really spent 7 months in terms of the team. And the second thing, as you already know, is I'm always about the customer. And the best way to think about the customer is somebody who has to pay. So I go to the customer and make them pay. And that is the validation, means it's actually they have the real pain problem. And I am also, when I'm going and talking and doing, I am accountable to really, that I'm not just imagining and building something. And so that's the approach.
Because that's huge. Being able to, you're right, the only validation that a product really is of value is if somebody gives money to actually have that product for themselves. The fact that they don't give money doesn't mean it's not of value, but the only thing that proves conclusively that it's of value is if when you get money for that product. But then how do you scale it from you going to see them to them being able to see hundreds of sites?
Right.
Or
So
hundreds of people being able to see
from
the
that
site.
now in the this month, for example, it became automatically around 7 to 8. From 1 to 78
Customers,
because
beautiful.
earlier I didn't have anything to show. Now when you have things to show, then automatically they sell for so I don't have to go sell. So and it's the same with the developers too, right? So my code base, when other we can, if the developer can actually publish that code, today this is what I did, because mine is anyway open source, I'm open, and then so that attracts actually other developers too to come and use the tool to document their code for themselves.
Yeah. And
So
by the way,
these are all scalable
they are
ways to
scalable.
setting.
And then how do we spread it amongst the developers that they need to come in and start putting in their own code? Like, how do we get the millions?
So my what I'm working now that it is can be used by others. I am doing this event called how do we make how do we how to make local communities innovative and prosperous. That's my theme, that's my mission, that's my brand. And so with AI and local summit, it's called AI and local summit, and we see at a metro level lot of AI conferences, events. There is at LA, there is at San Francisco. That's for that a metro level. But my mission is like go to cities and cities, city of LA, city of Glendale, city of Camarillo, city of Simi Valley.
So more Chamber of Commerce focused
and also
events.
city level, right? Because they have an incentive to get the tax dollars, and so.
And they're also worried because their retail stores are dying.
Yeah, Amazon took away all the, now talking about big business and small businesses, all the big businesses is about scaling what the small businesses are doing.
Yeah.
So Amazon took away all the, small businesses business because they don't go to buy anything from them now. So, but giving them, so I don't necessarily pit one against the other, because with technology, once you have innovation, you can create new stuff, right? So let's give the tools of innovation, not so much take away or from big businesses to you, because then people get lots. I keep eating so many ideas, like there is no limit for ideas. So but if you have the tools to do it, they come to life. So in terms of scaling, I want to go city by city, and bring city by city businesses, local businesses, and establish as if not just as. So if you see WordPress, I think they go just as the online and anybody click, which is okay. We are also online. But I'm also about actually going local. That's my focus.
Yeah. Making it hyper-local. So then what comes next as far as investment is concerned? What investment do you need? Because I don't see you as a very needy person when it comes to folks who invest money. But there has to be a time when you're going to raise.
Can I just, you can edit, right? So that's where I think I need to discuss with you, and I need advice and discuss with you.
You should raise.
Yeah.
Just raise. You're ready for your seed. You're ready for your seed round. You're going to go for your seed round next. You're going to build up your revenue. You're going to build it up to like $30,000, $40,000 a month. And then when you build it up to $30,000, $40,000 a month, you're going to go for your seed round. You're going to have proven that you have enough people wanting to use your platform that you can do. And now you're going to be going to promote it to developers all over the world. And the only way you can do that is with large advertising spend.
Yeah, so that's one area that I am. I'm empty.
Yeah, you should raise.
Because you just need definitely advice and mentoring in that area.
Yeah, I just think you've done great on your own for a long time, but you have to build now. You have to do. I remember when GitHub, started with theirs. They started at the beginning with just two folks in a room, and then Marketo, the same. Marketo is a really good example. Like that was started with just a Israeli lady in a room with her and her husband, and you just come to a stage where you can't do it. You can't go from city to city on your own anymore. You can't go from business to business on your own. You need to have teams of people who are outreaching, and you need to be able to build up lots of developers on your site. That's all. And you need to raise $1 million.
Right. I'm not saying no. I'm not opposed to raising investment. I think the only barrier I face is then you need to have this pitch deck, which has to be, what are you, what you're not, and with my time, I want to really build my product, and I want to go get the money from the customers and then it's taking me. I work 20 hours.
You can do that anyway. That's why we're doing
dollars.
the podcast. But think about what we've done today is we've really nicely framed what the product does. Okay, this is the best you've ever framed it, right? So everybody gets what the product does. All we have to do now in the last 2 or 3 minutes, because I don't want it to go over, but you just have to say, I'm going to raise money in 2020, because you should. You can't. You'll grow too slowly if you don't, right? You have to build a team around you. You have to have resources. You have to have money coming in. So you're going to say, I'm going to build a team. I have a very strong technological platform. I'm proving it out. I'm going to prove it out and get the revenue up to $30,000, $40,000 a month, which will show all of our investors what a strong platform we have. And then when our monthly recurring revenue is there, we're going to go and we're going to raise investment from angel investors.
Okay.
And I won't ask you the valuation, so don't worry about that.
Okay. So I say, go ahead, yeah.
So, hey, Vincent. Vincent. Hey, Vincent. Hey, Vincent.
Oh, you switched off?
No, he's still got it on. He just popped out. I see him. He's jumped on the phone. Okay, we'll just keep going, and I'll tell him the minutes. I don't know what the minutes were actually. 28 to 3, probably minute 30 to 32. Okay, Vincent, we're going to recommence now. So here's what I would love to know is we've spoken about the business. We've seen how the business is growing. We've seen you actually get traction and have customers paying to be on the platform. Everybody who's listening understands how we're moving from the dumb website terminal to a smart assistant that's going to be inside your technology, that's going to tell you everything to do and help your business become stronger. So we get all that. Now, you've done amazing so far because you've not really raised much investment. You took a little bit of money from us, and then other than that, you just went out and did it. So you prove that you are a tenacious and incredible entrepreneur on top of a technology genius. Next step this year has to be to raise money, because you need to build a team of not 2 people, 4 or 5 people. You need to build a team of 20 people. And those 20 people need to evangelize your product to the entire world of developers. So everybody gets behind you in the same way that they got behind blockchain. Because blockchain is similar if you think about it. It was a democratized, decentralized way for people to live their lives, which took the power away from the few and put it out to the many. You're doing exactly the same thing. So how much are you going to raise? And when do you think that we should start doing that?
So, so definitely I'm raising funding in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And since I already have recurring revenue, I'm hoping to raise that recurring revenue to a little bit more. To 20 to 30,000 per month.
I think you'll hit that pretty easily.
Right, in the next few months.
Yep.
And so that's.
And then we go for a seed round, maybe raise around $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a really smart call actually, because it puts you in a place then where you can really scale your business. Because if you can get it up to $30,000 or $40,000 a month in recurring revenue based on no investment, then imagine what you could bring in based on investment. And probably even more importantly, rather than just the paid users, which is a beautifully sustaining item of your business, this actually now moves on to the next level of the free users, the developers, the other people, everybody who's going to build your platform. And we want lots of those people. And what's really interesting as I listen to you talking is, especially on the backdrop of all of the disasters with SoftBank and all of the companies that lose billions of dollars every single quarter with no real visible financial model in many cases, and not just SoftBank, many of the later stage companies that are out there. What I love about your model is that you have the ability to actually make profits as you build your business. I mean, you can truly be a Microsoft but within the technology, within the website space.
Yeah, that's right.
You feeling that?
Yes, I do. I yes, I do.
So here's what I'd like to do. For me, this is not about me saying I would invest in you. I would not invest in you. We invested in you before. I would invest in you again. I believe in you, Sumi. I believe that you are going to build something so impactful in the universe that we're going to talk about it for a long way to come. And I don't think we're going to have to wait a long time for everybody to realize what's being built, right? So that's there. We will, of course, support you with the raise of your next raise of the $1 million and start putting you in front of investors. You're going to keep on building up your customers, keep on building up your traction, keep the website moving forward. I could not be happier. And what I love about, again, all of the things that you mentioned before about the team, the process, the building the users, the making sure that you're hitting the milestones, all of those are the areas of excellent entrepreneurship. So let's finish the podcast with a few things. Number one, I want to make sure that for investors and startups alike, that they're able to reach out to you. So let's have your email address. So hit us with that.
My email is sumi@codemarket.io.
Which is
Sumi,
S-U-M-I.
S-U-M-I.
Perfect.
And Codemarket is code, CODEMARKET.io.
Beautiful. And then website, codemarket.io.
Yes.
Beautiful, nice and easy. And then finish us off with, of all of the things that you've learned on this journey as an entrepreneur, and you are giving advice to all of the other early stage entrepreneurs who are beginning out on their journey, what would you tell them to make that path a little bit easier? And especially only because you've mentioned female entrepreneurship. And as you know, we love investing in female entrepreneurs, not because we care about male females, but just because we know they're better. Okay? So you mentioned female entrepreneurship and you mentioned being a female leader in a man's world where you've got everybody around you with their own opinions and the way you've managed to get through that, and you've done it in an extremely elegant way. What advice would you give to female founders who are on your path?
So the advice, like you, female, male, everybody, I think in entrepreneurship, I do this because it makes me so happy. So I love it. And I love talking so when I quit my job, I set one goal. And that was, I want to, think the way I would like to think, and I would like to talk the way I would like to talk, and I would like to do what I would like to do. So that's my simple, because when I was working in big companies, I was like, asked to think certain way or talk certain way or do certain way, and I felt a lot of conflict within me, even though it was a safe environment. So that was my motto, which was freedom to think, freedom to talk, and to do freedom to do what you believe in. And this gives me that opportunity every moment, not once a month or once a week or every second, right? So I am in heaven, right? So every minute. So, and I really appreciate Brian for giving the opportunity. As you said, it was just an idea at that time, and you saw beyond all the things that were not there. So I experience that every single day. People being open. People listening, people giving. I never feel as much resistance. Yes, there is a little bit here, but that's nowhere in comparison to the acceptance and how people are open and how they help and support.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of challenges, I think if I have to give advice, I think you should pick the problem that you really identify with, that you love, right? Because then you also have that emotional connection and bond with that problem, at least for me.
Yes.
And then you should love the people that you're talking to. When I go to the businesses, I really love what they're doing and their problems I'd identify with, and I really want to help them, right? So for me, that was it's you just first is if you start with the problem that you're really passionate about, and the people. I think once you have that, then everything around. And I'm also very disciplined. I think you know that. I don't get distracted easily.
Good for you. So be distracted. Focus on a problem that you love and that you are extremely good at, and do you, not everybody else. Is that it?
Yeah.
I love it. Listen, it's a pleasure having you in the accelerator. We love having you around. I am looking forward to standing beside you as you're ringing that bell on the NASDAQ. Keep doing the wonderful things that you're doing and change the world one little city at a time.
Thank you, Brian.
And that's a wrap. Thanks for joining us. If you love the podcast, please empower your circle by sharing these stories. The Art of Startup War is brought to you by Expert Dojo. And remember, we invest in startups, $50,000 checks. Make sure you apply on our site if you are one of those great entrepreneurs looking to bring your company to the next level. As far as the Art of Startup War is concerned, we are back every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. So remember, check out the new episodes. If you want to find out what the investors think, check out season 1 or 2. But make sure you join us every single week.